All right. Good afternoon, ladies. Thanks for being here. You've all written RCD units and you've started to implement this year. Can you tell me how this work is going for you so far? Who wants to start out?
I can start.
Okay.
Okay, hi, my name is Jennifer, and I teach 6th grade, and we're piloting our Language Arts RCD unit at Ramona Elementary School. And I think at first it was difficult for both teacher and student because it was a shift in everything. It was a shift in learning style, it was a shift in teaching style. So once we got through all of those bumps in the beginning, I think we're really excited with the products we've gotten from our students so far. They've really risen to the occasion where they would start out and they would need a lot of support, where they would be asking for sentence frames. They would want us to, show them exactly where the answer is, but we're really shifting the thinking to them, digging deeper in and coming up with justifying whatever answer they think would be appropriate. And it's really going great so far. We're seeing a lot of growth with our students with main idea and details so far, right?
My name's Lisa. I also teach 6th grade at Ramona. I would say that one of the biggest improvements is in student engagement. The kids love what they're learning and they are really interested and want to complete the projects. And also they are exhibiting a deeper understanding of the concepts we are teaching, rather than just spending a week going over a difficult concept like main ideas and details. They're walking away with a much more firm understanding of the concepts.
Excellent. Anybody at the high school?
Go ahead. My name is Katie, and I teach 11th grade English. And just piggybacking off of what you guys said, I think the biggest change that I've seen in my classroom this year is just how engaged the kids are. And also, in our first unit, it did start slow. The kids did need a lot of guidance, but now I'm into the 3rd unit, and it is so refreshing to see the kids really just directing their own learning process. So for me, it's been really exciting, and then also the variety of different activities and the multimedia connections. I think that's something that the kids today really thrive on.
Absolutely. How about 1st grade? We have a 1st grade teacher here too.
I'm Denise. I teach 1st grade, and we're piloting the language arts units. And we've had a huge success even with the little guys coming in, and it started off with the back to school night where we introduced what Common Core was and that we were getting children ready for career in college, even in 1st grade. And after that speed bump of explaining that it wouldn't be just the rigor, it would be expanding their knowledge, not just giving them the keys to read and write, but to be able to speak and listen and show what they know in writing. So the parents are on board, they're checking homework, and the kids are engaged in learning, and they want to, like they were lining up to go to the library the other day, and they wanted to know if they're going to get an informational text or, text or just a story for the fun of it. And they were talking about animals.
Awesome.
And one, I wasn't doing anything but just listening, and one said, I want pictures that show me what that animal's like. And so they said, that's informational text. I'm going to get informational text, and it's real pictures.
Aww.
And so it was just adorable.
That is
to see it.
adorable. Those are 6-year-olds. That's awesome. Talk a little bit about what you've seen when you compare your experiences in learning with students prior to RCD, what you're noticing about yourselves as teachers. Anybody want to talk to that?
I'm Jennifer, and I teach juniors at the high school level. The way I've been teaching English has really changed, and the way it's changed is that I'm not only up front, okay? The students are up there in groups, small groups, sometimes in pairs. They're working on a task. Everything is organized and laid out. The expectations are clear. They know what the result will, anticipate the result. And then they produce a product. And along the way, they're obviously covering the standards and following the task in a sequential order. And at the end of a 3, maybe a 4-week unit, you can really see growth and development in a very different way, as opposed to reading a story and maybe answering the questions at the end, or reading a story and taking a test and having that only be, the only form of assessment. So it's very refreshing, and the students are, in groups, they're up, they're about, they're switching seats. It changes the whole dynamic of the classroom.
So how about the rest of you? What have you learned about yourselves as teachers in teaching these units?
I think one thing that I've learned is that the kids really are empowered by having some responsibility. Years before, I think I thought that being a good teacher meant that I was doing everything for the kids.
Well said.
And now, I guess the idea of being the guide on the side is a new route that I'm taking. And I think the kids are really rising to the occasion. I feel like I have so much more energy, you know, just as a teacher, because it's so much more student directed as opposed to in the past. I think a lot of what I did was teacher led.
Right.
And then so I think coming along with that is there's a lot of pride in the classroom now. The students, all the products are different because you know, they're allowed to create their own authentic final products, I guess we could call it, and they're really proud of what they're doing. They love when the principal comes in or anybody comes in so they can see, they're self-reflecting, and so they're taking the time and seeing how they're growing progressively. And really the way we wrote the units, I feel like we really let them go slowly. In the beginning, we're guiding them, and then you'll see by the end of task 4, they're really running the show themselves. And like you're saying, we're standing on the side and just watching them take off and do amazing things. So.
You know, that's excellent, and thank you all. The big transformation that people are really curious about now is how do we take the Common Core standards, which are at a higher level, and they are actually better written than most of our state standards, and how do we bring students from that foundation of the Common Core standards to success on the consortium's assessments, in your case in California, would be Smarter Balanced. Do you feel like the units that you are developing now and that you're actually implementing are doing a good job of preparing students for Common Core skills and concepts, or the mastery of Common Core skills and concepts toward effective performance on the Smarter Balanced assessments? Anybody want to talk to that?
I would absolutely agree, because as we were writing these units, we have the standards right, you know, up front. We're weaving them in and out of the units and placing them appropriately, making sure that we are hitting them 2 or 3 times in a variety of you know, formats or projects. The students, even if there is some you know, assessment at the end, a summative, multiple choice, or a short answer, we are writing those with the same academic language that the Smarter Balance will be presenting to the students. So
Okay.
they'll be familiar with the test-taking strands, if you will.
Okay. Anybody else?
Also, one thing that I like about the units is that not only are we addressing a standard, but we're also addressing Webb's depth of knowledge and the actual level of learning that students will be assessed on for a particular standard. In the past, I think with our previous standardized assessments, it was lower level form of Bloom's or Webb's. And now, because the assessments have changed, I think we're really giving the kids an opportunity with these units to have a deeper level of learning on a particular concept or standard.
Okay. Anybody else thoughts on that?
I think the academic language that we're exposing 6-year-olds to is building. And as we were writing the units, I was listening. At one point we had high school in the same room, and we were talking about a standard, and I went ahead and thumbed back in the Common Core and said exactly what does that verb say in first grade language. And you know, it was talking about how are you supposed to negotiate, and I said, well, you're supposed to have an opinion somewhere. We kind of just undeveloped that big standard, but thinking eventually when they're in high school we want them to have the skills to get there. So my students currently are talking about animals, and they're talking about looking at researching animals, and they want a deeper understanding, and they go a deeper understanding, a stronger understanding. So the students corrected me and used this verbal. I didn't even do this verbal and kinesthetic movement. A stronger, Mrs. Duarte, stronger. And I said, all right, let's go find some stronger understanding in the library. And it's just amazing to see it all connect, and it's exposure. Some of these students are English language learners, and they're completely capable of these words. And when they come to you in high school, it's not going to be a foreign big word on an assessment. It's something that they've used, they played with, they applied, and it's again a deeper knowledge.
And And I think that's so great because I think we all need to be patient. It's gonna take a few years, but in a few years we'll really see, you know, the fruits of all of our labor here, because they'll come in a couple years and they'll be used to the academic language. They'll be used to the rigor of the written exams now, instead of just choosing and eliminating A, B, C, or D. So I think as we all keep rolling it out, it'll just get better and better and build stronger.
Stronger learners.
I believe that the test being technology-based is forcing us to bring more technology into the classroom. And so our students that may not have that at home, the schools are being forced to provide that exposure to them in the classroom, and that's a huge game changer.
Excellent. I think that's for all of us, isn't it? Ladies, thank you so much for
Thank
your
you.
comments. I really appreciate this, and go back to work. You're doing a great job. Okay.